Hi, hello, welcome or welcome back. My name is Kim. This is Kim Reads and Reviews, and today I want to talk bookish Roman empires. If you remember a little while ago, there was this trend that was going around on Instagram and other platforms where women were asking their boyfriends or just male friends how often they think about the Roman Empire. And the answers surprised everybody. They're like, once a day, once a week. It was like, who thinks about the Roman Empire that often? And so I thought about it. I was like, I don't have a person or a specific event necessarily that I think about once a day, once a week. However, I do have some books that I think about once a week, especially when I'm thinking about the genre as a whole. Like if I'm picking up a horror book, I'm like thinking back to this one book specifically, or even a specific part that happened within these books. So I'd love to go over all of them. These are all romances, thrillers, and one horror. I'm not going to do literary fiction because I'm thinking about doing a video where I talk about certain characters that have just kind of stuck with me throughout my literary fiction reading. And so I won't be touching on that genre in this video, but maybe another one. So I'll just start off right away. The first one is No Exit by Taylor Adams. Essentially, we follow Darby and she is traveling. I can't remember where she's traveling, but anyway, she's traveling across state. And the weather is really bad that she gets snowed in at a truck stop and they say you shouldn't travel anywhere. So she's stuck there for however long until the weather lets up. When she goes across the parking lot to the truck stop, she walks past a van, and within the van is a child. So she takes it upon herself to, one, figure out whose van this is, why they want this child, and she's going to try and rescue this kid. She's really trying to figure out who at the truck stop, who's already there. There's multiple people there, how they're involved in this. The way he writes the action scenes and like the fight scenes is not like anything I have read before, and it's not like something I have encountered yet again. It was excellent. I made my partner read it and he really loved it too. We both kind of said like, oh, it plays in our heads like an action movie. That's how great it is. The next one is a romance. I actually don't have it. And I'm cheating a little bit with this one, and it is Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. Typically, the Roman Empire thing is like something happened a long time ago and you think about quite often. I read this recently, but there is something within it that is sticking with me, even from over the span of a couple of months. So within this one, we follow Brianna and Jacob, and they both work at the same hospital. They get off on the wrong foot. Jacob has some pretty severe social anxiety and just anxiety in general when he's in new environments. Brianna is somebody who does not have anxiety, but they get off on the wrong foot just because there's a bit of a misunderstanding. They eventually lead to fake dating one another because Brianna's going to help Jacob show his family that he's over his ex. You followed along with that. It was very sweet. I enjoyed it, but there is something very specific about this book that I really liked and I think about quite often. Brianna looks at Jacob's anxiety and Jacob as a person as being like a privilege to be around him. The fact that he wants to be around her and have her in his space, like she just thinks of that as like, oh my god, I'm so lucky to be in his presence, and you know, all these things, considering his anxiety and just like how easily they could have not even been friends because they started out as friends. And I just have never seen it written in that way or endeared in that way. I just really liked the way that Brianna thought about Jacob and his private space, and just like how he doesn't let a lot of people in all the time. He doesn't necessarily love to meet new people because it requires him to go into new environments that often triggers his anxiety. And I just thought that that was very sweet. Okay, so the next one is another romance, and that is You Again by Kate Goldbeck. So within this one, we follow Ari and Josh, and they are complete opposites of one another. They get off on the wrong foot, and they eventually become friends, but they do kind of have like the hots for one another. It's a retelling of like When Harry Met Sally. So they kind of encounter each other through specific times, like they meet each other, then like 3 months later, you see how they meet each other again, 1 year later, so on and so forth. They, obviously it's a romance, and they end up falling for one another. But there is one part within this specifically that I think back on when I think about romances, and there was this text exchange between these two on a subway. If any of you have read this and you know the scene I am talking about, I have never been like super giddy reading a romance, but my goodness, was I feeling very squealy and giddy when I read that part, because I was like, it's happening, it's finally happening. This was great. And also, to get the full experience, maybe watch the movie beforehand or after if you haven't watched it yet. It definitely kind of added to the overall experience of reading this and enjoying it. The next one is a horror, and this is actually the only book that I have liked from this author so far, and that is Brother by Anya Allborn. So within this one, we follow the Morrow family, specifically Michael. Yeah, Michael. Michael's sole purpose in life is to help his family pursue their really messed up activities, we'll call it. He leads a way of life that it's just kind of like it's all he's ever known. He doesn't know anything different. This is just kind of what he thinks the start and end of life is going to be for him. His family also reminds him frequently, like, this is all he's good for. Like, he's not meant for anything else. It's extremely dark and very gritty. But the thing that really specifically, when I think about kind of like horror and slower paced, gritty, dark fiction books, I think about Michael, his character development, and the ending in this book. I was so invested in seeing what was going to be happening to Michael and seeing how he goes about living with his really messed up family. And he meets a girl at a record shop and he decides that he wants something different for himself. And that is not okay with his family, especially his brother. And the ending in this, oh my God, it was just the perfect ending for this book. I don't know what other people think about the ending, but I loved it for what this was. It really was on par with the overall tone and dark themes of this, and just this hollowness that it leaves you feeling. It was unlike anything I have ever read. I've read a couple of other books of hers, but I think a couple, maybe only one. I don't remember, but this is the only one I've liked from her so far. I think this is like a masterpiece, honestly. The last two books are from the exact same author. They're both thrillers, both from Riley Sager. The first one being Home Before Dark. Within this one, we follow our main character as she moves into her childhood home. Her family has a notorious history within their neighborhood, as does this home that she's moved into. Her dad sold a best-selling novel, and it was a novel about their time living in this haunted house. And she moves in and her parents are like, you know, very up in arms about her moving into there. It's very eerie and just kind of like, what is going on kind of a scenario. But the specific thing that I really liked about this book and that I think about to this day is some of the very eerie and creepy happenings that occur to her. So in her bedroom, she has like a chest at the end of her bed. And there was one night where she was sleeping and then she looked up and the chest doors were open a little bit and all she saw was like a little eye looking at her. Oh my God, it gave me chills when I read it. It gives me chills when I think back on it. And I just think it was really talented writing for it to like spook me in that way. And like, even when I was a kid, I never liked leaving my closet doors open or slightly ajar when I was sleeping. I don't know who does like that, but it just creeped me out so much. I think about that part quite often. It's the perfect Halloween book too, honestly. Like, haunted house scenario, the twists in it are always great in true Riley Sager fashion. The last one from Riley Sager, and I think this was either the first book I read from him or maybe second or third, I can't quite remember, but that is Lock Every Door by him. Within this one, we follow Jules as she moves into the Bartholomew in New York because she wants to apartment sit, and they're going to pay her some exorbitant amount of money to apartment sit here, and she's kind of down on her luck, and this is like the perfect opportunity for her. However, weird things start happening. There's another apartment sitter who is in the building that she meets, and she kind of strikes up a friendship with her, but then she disappears too. And so begins this whole thing for her about where her friend went to, what is going on within this apartment building. It's very unsettling. Riley Sager does such a great job at writing twists in general, but this one specifically, like when I think about thrillers that shocked me, that I did not see coming, that were very twisty and unexpected, this is the one that I think about. It is unlike any other thriller I have read. I have yet to read another thriller author who write twists in the same way that Riley Sager does. It's just enjoyable. That is all my kind of Roman Empire books. These are parts to books that I think about often and I have really, really enjoyed. Obviously, it goes without saying that I would recommend all of these books. If you have any kind of Roman Empire moments from your books or just books in general that you think about once a week, do let me know. But I hope you are enjoying what you're reading and I will see you in the next video.